Hello friends and welcome to a beer review, which I am dubbing the, I don't know, I don't know beer review. I didn't think of a title. Usually I can think of one off the top of my head. I was thinking like Zoe Quinn beer review, but no, I'm not going to go and honor a beer review with that bitch. So, you know, So, today we're going to be reviewing Negra Modelo, which is the other Mexican beer that I like. The first Mexican beer that I like I've already reviewed, that was Bohemia Pilsner. This is the other one. So, this is far easier to find than Bohemia. You can find it just about anywhere, really, in the United States, since it's a macro lager that's widely distributed. And unlike the vast majority of Mexican beers, it's fairly dark. So Dos Equis and Bavaria are also dark beers. Well, Dos Equis Ambar. But, you know, Dos Equis Ambar is kind of for me. And I've never even seen Bavaria. I'd like to give it a try because they say it's a true Munich Dunkel lager. Whereas Negra Modelo is sometimes called a Vienna lager or a Dunkel lager, Munich Dunkel lager. More people lean to saying that it is one of the few examples of a true Vienna lager. I'm not too sure about that. I've also heard other people say that it's brewed with corn as an adjunct, but it doesn't taste particularly corny to me. That wasn't a pun. That just came out that way. So, first thing is, if you do get Negra Modelo, for the love of God, do not put a lime in it. This is a dark beer. Well, relatively dark. It's not going to be confused with a stout anytime soon. And also, don't have it ice cold in one of those frosted glasses. It'll kill it. So, it pours a reddish brown. It's pretty translucent. It almost looks like, say, a slightly less carbonated Dr. Pepper, perhaps, with a very quickly vanishing tan head. Doesn't retain much head. It does kind of have a macro smell to it. There's always this sort of smell that you can always tell to macros. Excuse me. Why do I always have post-nasal drip when I do these? It kind of has, the head dissipates so quickly it's hard to get much of a nose out of it. It has a sort of sweet smell to it, and also sort of this nuttiness underneath. But yeah, there's a sort of sweet smell that I can't really quite place. Sort of nuttiness and a breadiness underneath that. Not much hops. There's some slight bitterness, but it's very lightly hopped. But that's okay because there's quite a bit of malt here, even though it's very light bodied. The sweetness is actually stronger on the finish than the bitterness is, even though the bitterness kind of lasts longer. It almost has like a soda-like finish, I would say, but it's not cloyingly sweet. It's a good, crisp sort of sweetness. And it doesn't hang around long. There's sort of a graham crackery sort of breadiness to the malts. I guess you could call it crackeriness, graham crackeriness, because of the sweetness of it. Sweetness peaks in the mid palate and lingers on after. Please excuse that stupid sound. I hate it. There is a light presence of corn to the front, but it's not that really gross kind of thing that you'll get from an American macro lager. Indeed, there is a bit of a roastiness to it. It's quite nice. In fact, I would say the roasted aspect of the malts, the dark malts, is actually more contributing to the bitter in the finish than any sort of hopping is. No, I don't know. They're both kind of really intertwined there. Excuse me, I'm going to try to blow my nose again. Let's see if we can get more things there. You know, if I didn't have a deviated septum, I would probably be even better at tasting things. Oh yeah, those nuances of nuttiness. You know, if I was going to say nuttiness, I would say almost like cola nut, unsweetened cola nut, because there's almost a cola aspect to this, you know. Not sweet like a soda would be, but just say if you remove sweetness from Coca-Cola and just sort of amped it down a bit, you know, it would be almost like malt beverage. I don't know. So overall, unless you're eating something super spicy, well, if I'm eating something super spicy, I'll definitely go for a lighter beer, even if it's an adjunct lager. But for anything else, this is my go-to beer at Mexican restaurants. It's fairly light-bodied, but still has a good malt backbone that lends it a lot of flavor. And because of the light bodiness, because of the slight sweetness, it just goes well with Mexican food. Again, do not put lime in this. It would just ruin it. In fact, the only reason you should put lime in a beer, a Mexican beer, is if it's Corona, to cover up the fact that it's skunk piss. So folks, Negra Modelo, your Mexican beer, well, my Mexican beer of choice at a Mexican restaurant, unless they have Bohemia, which I'll go to first. But I've never been to a restaurant that carries Bohemia, so Negra Modelo it is. Followed, of course, by the Anejo tequila shot after the meal is finished. So, that's your beer review for tonight. Salud!